Folks, Rich Van Tassel finishing up the early time slot game recaps of Week 16 of the NFL season. The Green Bay Packers eliminated the Minnesota Vikings 38-25. This now means that no matter what happens with Detroit and Dallas on Monday, Green Bay and Detroit will be playing for the NFC North Championship next week. Sam Bradford, 34 to 50, 382 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. This is for the Vikings, obviously. Jerick McKinnon, 11 carries, 50 yards, 4.5 yards per rush. Matt Asiata, 6 carries, 8 for 34 yards, 5.7 yards per rush. The team 20 of 93, 4.7 yards per rush. So they actually found a running game, just too late for them this year. Adam Thielen, 12 receptions, 202 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a big day at Kyle Rudolph, but he did have a 71-yarder. Skews those numbers a bit. Kyle Rudolph, 6 for 53. Jerick McKinnon, 5 for 35. Stephon Diggs, 4 for 29. He had the other touchdown. Sam Bradford lost a fumble. Nick Easton also lost a fumble. The team had 4 sacks. Eric Kendricks had 2.5. Danielle Hunter had 1.5. That was it. No interceptions. Kai Forbath 2 for 2 in his field goals. For the Packers, Aaron Rodgers really starting to come on. 28 to 38, 347 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. More of what I would expect from Ty Montgomery running the ball. 9 carries, 23 yards, 2.6 yards per rush. Aaron Rodgers 2 for 13, 6.5. He had a rushing touchdown. The team 15 of 40. That wasn't a designed run for Aaron Rodgers. 15 of 40 is 2.7 yards per rush. So Christian Michael 4 carries for 4 yards. I still think they have to figure that out and get a running back going. Jordy Nelson, 9 receptions, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns. Geronimo Allison, 4 receptions, 66 yards. Devontae Adams, 4 for 44, 8 a touchdown. Richard Rodgers, 2 catches for 20 yards and a touchdown. Mike Daniels, Kenny Clark both recovered fumbles. Micah Hyde recovered a fumble that he lost. Well, not lost, but a fumble he put on the ground. They had 4 sacks. Clay Matthews, one of them. Nick Perry, 2. Mike Daniels, the other. No interceptions. And Mason Crosby, 1 for 1 in his field goal. So the Minnesota Vikings, their defense, the last 2 weeks, you have to be very surprised by that. If your offense isn't scoring, that's one thing. I still think their offense would have been able to figure it out better. But for them to give up points the way they have, even against Aaron Rodgers, it's a real cause for concern moving forward in the next season. Obviously, because the season's done. You look at a team that started 5-0, now 2-8 in their last 10. Just not good enough. What can you say? It all went downhill for them. For Green Bay, they're really starting to come on. Obviously, that game will be very interesting next week. You had Washington winning. We'll see what Tampa Bay does. I'm not sure how that'll affect the rest of the way. I guess if Tampa Bay wins and with Washington winning, regardless of what Detroit does, that could be an elimination game, but I still think there's some things that need to be figured out as well. But hats off to the Green Bay Packers. Miami 34 to 31 over the Buffalo Bills in this one. 10-5. Miami moves to. Buffalo drops to 7-8. Matt Moore for the Dolphins, 16 of 30, 233 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Jay Ajayi went over 200 again. 32 carries, 206 yards, 6.4 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Kenyon Drake, 4 for 56, 14 yards per rush, and 1 touchdown. The team altogether 38 of 261, 6.9 yards per rush, 2 touchdowns. So, and, we'll get into Buffalo's running game as well. There was a lot of running going on. Devontae Parker, 4 for 85, 1 touchdown. It was 56 yards. Want to talk about that later. Damian Williams, 2 for 51, 25.5 yards per reception, and 21.3 for Devontae Parker. So some big yardage games there. Kenny Stills, 3 for 35. He had the other touchdown. 2 sacks. Jason Jones and Cameron Wake, no interceptions. Andrew Franks, 2 for 3 in his field goals. For the Buffalo Bills, Tyrod Taylor, 26 of 39, 329 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. LaShawn McCoy, 24 carries, 128 yards, 5.3 yards per rush. Mike Gillislee, 11 carries, 91 yards, 8.3 yards per rush. Tyrod Taylor, 12 for 65 yards per rush. The team altogether 49 of 272, 5.6 yards per rush. The touchdown by LaShawn McCoy, and you had a negative 8-yard run by Reggie Bush. You have your quarterback not turn the ball over, throw 3 touchdowns, only 13 incomplete passes, and over 300 yards, and you run the ball 5.6 yards a clip almost 50 times. and you somehow lose the game, indicative of Buffalo Bills. Sammy Watkins, 7 receptions, 154 yards, 1 touchdown. Charles Clay, 8 of 85, 2 touchdowns. Robert Woods, 3 of 43. Mike Gillisley fumbled and he recovered it. The team had no sacks. Corey White had an interception. Dan Carpenter, 1 for 3 in his field goals, and one of those misses came in overtime. Critical there. Miami, hats off to them. Big win. I want to talk about the Buffalo Bills with this one. Rex Ryan is probably going to lose his job, especially after this one. They're eliminated from the playoffs. Say what you want about Rex Ryan. I'm not here to say he should or should not be fired. This has been just typical of the Buffalo Bills before under, Chan Gailey, under Doug Marrone, under, whatever, Coach Greg Williams, whatever the situation. They find ways to lose games. In this one, they had the big touchdown pass by Devontae Parker. He was trapped. I mean, he caught it for a first down, but he was trapped. They, instead of tackling him, they hit the guy. He bounced off, ran it downfield for a touchdown. The 2 missed field goals, obviously. They, the field goal that Miami used to tie it up in regulation, Rex Ryan was trying to call a timeout. He was trying to be real slick about it and didn't get it off in time. Now, there was clearly, though, I don't think they should have honored the Rex Ryan timeout. I don't have a problem with that. If you watch, I was watching it live, and if you watch any of the replays, there's a guy on Buffalo, though, in the center of the field. I believe it was number 30, who I'm pretty sure is Corey White. He's standing there in the middle of the field, clearly calling timeout. He has his hands up. He's making I can't because I'm holding the phone with the other hand, but he has his hand up, making the timeout symbol like that, and they completely missed it. The field goal was made. But Buffalo, this is, why they have been to the playoffs in 17 years. They're a team that is just incapable of not making critical mistakes, and it came to get them yet again today in this one, and that's why they will be home for the playoffs. The Atlanta Falcons with the victory over the Carolina Panthers 33-16. Atlanta now 10-5, 6-2 on the road. Carolina 6-9, 4-4. You got the Saints and Panthers playing right now, or the Saints and the Buccaneers playing right now. Should the Buccaneers lose, Atlanta will win the division. Matt Ryan 27 of 33, 277 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Tevin Coleman 9 carries, 90 yards, 10 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Devontae Freeman 13 for 53, 4.1 yards per rush. The team 24 carries, 152 yards, 6.3 yards per rush. So the running game coming along well to complement that passing game. Julio Jones, first game back, 4 for 60. Mohamed Sanu, 3 for 56. Tevin Coleman, 3 for 45. Joshua Perkins, 2 for 34, and a touchdown receiving. Matt Ryan fumbled, it was not lost. Devontae Freeman recovered a fumble. They had 2 sacks. Vic Beasley Jr. did not have one of them. Jalen Collins and Bryant Poole both had interceptions. Matt Bryant 4 for 5 in his field goals. For the Panthers, Cam Newton 18 of 43, 198 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Jonathan Stewart 11 carries, 50 yards, 4.5 yards per rush. Cam Newton 8 of 36, 4.5. Fozzie Whitaker 3 of 30, 10 yards per rush. Kelvin Benjamin 4 for 63, 1 touchdown. Greg Olsen 6 for 59. Ted Ginn Jr. 3 for 29 receiving. They had 4 sacks. Coney Ely, Kurt Coleman, Mario Addison, Kawan Short. No interceptions. Graham Gano 3 for 3 in his field goal. So Atlanta, like we said, they will clinch the division with a loss by Tampa Bay. You got to be liking what you see with the Falcons, especially being able to now run the ball. They have a nice 2-headed attack with Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman. So that's always good in that regard to have that many runners being able to get going. So certainly a team that may be reckoned with come playoff time if they get in. Of course, all these victories are not claiming a spot for the New York Giants as of yet, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. For the Carolina Panthers, the disappointing year ended today, basically. Cam Newton did not play well. I thought Carolina did come out and played professionally. It didn't look like they were laying down at all. But this has just been a bad year for them, and it's reflected now with the 6-9 record. All right, so once these 4 o'clock games go final, we will give you that. And remember, at some point today, we will give you the preview of tomorrow's games, the Christmas Day games between the Colts, the Ravens and the Steelers, and the Broncos and the Chiefs. So be sure to stay tuned for that. We'll see you all in a little bit. Thanks so much.